good, everybody? What's good? What's good, everybody? This is Chico. This is for my friends and family. This is not for just any old body. So I'm gonna show y'all a good recipe today that I learned maybe about 6 years ago, and I think you guys like it. It's pretty good. It's real tasty. It's a chuck eye steak made like pot roast, and it's real good, man. But the ingredients that I use pretty different, pretty good. I'm gonna run those ingredients down to you. It's not a lot of ingredients, so keep in mind that you don't have to go spending a whole lot of money to get this stuff. You probably already got it in your pantry or in your refrigerator. So let's go ahead and get started. These are the chuck steaks. As you can see, they're pretty decent, man. Pretty fat, nice marbling to them. They're pretty good, man. So I got 4 of them because Jay can eat 3 of them and I can eat 1. So he's a growing boy. Got to have a good ass frying pan. Got to be nice and hot, and this is getting pretty hot. So while that's getting hot, I'll tell you everything else. You need a nice baking dish like this, probably about 2.5 inches deep. You know, you can tell that boy been through a lot of dishes, cooking for years. But anyway, so then we also gonna need some red wine. I use a good sweet red wine, cheap. You don't got to go all expensive on that. I use some Lipton onion mushroom soup mix. I'm also using regular mushrooms too, portobellos actually, sliced portobello. So that's pretty good. A little garlic powder, just a little bit. You don't need a lot. Pepper, of course. Sea salt, and that's all I use to season the steak is sea salt and pepper. Then I got a little bit of basil, a little sweet basil, and you need some Worcestershire sauce. I use Lee and Perrins, but you can use any kind that you prefer. But this is like top of the line to me. This stuff is super good. You need butter. You definitely need butter, and you need some portobello mushroom slices. You know, these are pretty dope. I love. They real tasty. You need a large onion, 3 apples. You need a green pepper, 2 squashes, and potatoes. And that's it. That's pretty much all you need. So I'm going to show you. And instead of measuring a bunch of stuff out, I'll just show you exactly how I'm making it. Now, let me point this out to you. The squash and the apples go together. Squashed apples, and I also have an onion with this, a small onion. You don't need a large onion with that, but a small onion. So I got to get it out the refrigerator, but definitely got that big onion for the steaks. So I'm going to show you how we do it. Let me just take a quick pause and we can get to it. Okay, we back. Got the butter here. We're getting ready to toss the butter in the hot pan. The pan is real hot. Keep in mind, I want it real hot because I'm really only searing both sides. I really don't want to cook them long on this frying pan. So because I'm going to cook them the rest of the way in the oven. So what I do is I take the butter, drop it in there. It's getting hot, and I'll let that melt. And while that's melting, I can go ahead and do these steaks. Now, as far as these steaks, man, you know, salt and pepper. That's all I use. It's regular salt and pepper. And it works out pretty good, man, with the salt and pepper. If you guys like seasoning salt, I do. I love Lowry's, but I choose for my steaks and burgers. I really don't like to use Lowry's. I like to use pepper and salt. That's it. You know, you get the best taste of your meat that way. So, just a little salt and pepper on these. I use a nice amount of salt because the salt absorbs pretty good. Gets in there and it helps tenderize the meat too. But man, I'm telling you, the flavor is like super dope. You won't know the difference really between salt and pepper and seasoning salt because a lot of the flavor is going to come from the au jus that will be produced by this meat once it's cooked nicely. So I just get that, do both sides, salt and pepper on both sides. Of course, always season both sides of your meat. I don't have to tell y'all that though. You should already know that. Because like I said, this is from a family and close friends. So, you know, It's all good. You guys are always asking me how I do stuff. I'm just trying to show you a little bit. A little salt and pepper. You know, it's pretty good. And you see that meat, man? That meat is like, whoa. I wish you could see it like real up close, and it smells so good, man. You'd be surprised how good, fresh, good beef smells, man. So got it, butter nice and brown in there, and I'll just let it heat up a little bit more. I want the butter to be brown. You know, people will tell you don't brown your butter too much, you know, because I guess it scorches the butter. But I like that scorched flavor with my steaks. It's top of the line, and so I got it pretty hot. It's got to get a little bit hotter. I'm not gonna show you guys me cutting onions and stuff, so I'm gonna cut them, and then you'll get to see what size and everything, you know. But wash my hands. Yeah, man. Always wash your hands too. I know we ghetto and we do what we do. You know, the heat cooks a lot of that stuff off, but wash your hands, man. When you're cooking, wash your hands. Anytime you touch anything, even if it's vegetables, wash your hands. So, yeah, throw them in. I'm gonna do them 2 at a time. Keep in mind, like I said, I just want to sear them. I don't want to cook them too much. And you see the seasoning that's still inside the pan. I'm gonna leave all of that there, man. That's what we need. We want that there, and that's a nice amount of pepper and stuff. So I really won't have to do much seasoning to the au jus once it's done. Just a little bit of salt and garlic powder, and a little bit of basil. So everything else, man, a lot of the flavor comes from the Lipton onion soup mix and the wine. The wine makes it like super good, man. You guys will see what I do with that in a minute. But just let that cook, and I'm gonna go ahead and do these 2 and these. And while I'm doing that, I'll be cutting up these vegetables and stuff. So back in a minute. Okay, got my other 2 steaks almost ready to come out. Just dropped them in, flipped them. Got those 2 ready. You see, you got a lot of pink, a lot of pink, man. That's like super, super rare. So that's what I want. I forgot to also say that you want to put the oven. You can't read mine, but the oven is basically on 325, and that's pretty good. That's what I want, because I wanted to cook a little slow and low, not too low, but I wanted to cook slow and low for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So those are done. I got my vegetables cut up, my peppers and my onions. Those are crucial ingredients to this. So you see the peppers and onions, see about the size I got them cut. You know, they roughly cut, man. It's nothing real fancy. We not in a restaurant, man. We putting this stuff in our damn bellies and eating it. So, but we want the flavor to come through good, and that's a good slice for that flavor. Forgot to mention one of the most very important parts of this meal to make it taste real good. You gotta have some dirty dishes, man. If you ain't got dirty dishes in your dish rack when you cooking, I mean, you really ain't cooking nothing. And that's coffee too. But so, you know, that'll get cleaned though. So I got my steaks coming out, and see my wine. I got my wine. I always gotta have a little bit for the chef too. But so I got everything coming, so you'll be seeing that in a second. Okay, now that I just took my steaks out. See, I got them all nice and ready to go. And see, I got the pan, got all that good old seasoning and charred flavor and stuff in it. So what I do is I get another piece of butter, nice piece, like I had before, and let that go ahead and render down. And you know, once I get that nice and melted, you see it's starting to get in on some of that good old flavoring part and stick in there. Let that melt up real good. And then once that's melted real good, add some of the good stuff. And then we're going to pour that on top of everything. And you'll see how that turns out. So this is how I do it. I don't like to saute my vegetables on this particular recipe. I like to go ahead and throw everything on there fresh so it can all cook down together. All of that flavor will cook together in the meat and the sauce. So, and that's real good. Trust me, y'all. You're gonna like it. But you want a lot of butter in that pan. You want a lot of good butter in there. So that's almost ready to be dealt with. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop this open and get the process started. Oh yeah, and the water. You need, say, about 2.5, 3 cups of hot water that you're going to mix the lifted onion mushroom soup with. Mix with. So let's get this going. I'm going to go ahead and deglaze the pan is what it's actually called. And pour that good old wine in there. We want a lot. We don't want skimp on the wine. That's going to bring a whole lot of flavor to that steak. Just let that cook a little bit. Let it smell good. Let it cool down. It'll reduce a little bit the alcohol. Most of it will get drawn from the liquid, and it'll start to thicken. So we're just going to let that sit. You see it starting to even boil a little bit. You need that. Let that go ahead and do its thing and start cooking. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and start tossing these vegetables on there, man. And we want them all on top. Everything on top. Lots of it. So that 1 large onion, definitely want all of that on there. Now, try to evenly distribute it. Little peppers on each one, onions on each one. Let them fall to the side if they have to. Like that. Bada bing. And because the mushrooms are already sliced, bada bing, we'll just do 1 more slice down the middle. So we'll have enough for everybody. Okay, so now you see I got all my vegetables in there. You see I got those big pieces of portobello. They pretty fat, man. These are pretty fat pieces. That's real good because they'll shrink down and absorb a lot of the alcohol and the wine and stuff, and the juices. So you see my wine reduced a little bit. It's not as thin as it was, but it's still a little thin. But I want that. I don't want a syrupy breakdown on there. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape off some of those good tastinesses off the bottom. The tasty goodnesses. And that's what we want. We want all of that good stuff. So now that I got that all mixed up and everything, we good to go. I had already pre-mixed. I'm using a chopstick. It helps to pre-mix the lifted onion soup mix with the water, hot water. Right? Good. All right. So that's the first thing we want to pour in. We're going to just pour that all over the stuff. All over. Don't worry about those chunks. Y'all just going to rehydrate and turn into tasty goodness. So a little bit more. All right. Got that. We poured it on there. Now, with a coupe de grace, we just ladle this stuff in without a ladle. And just pour that all over there. See that? So you can see it, the liquids come up the sides, right? So that's some good stuff right there. So, all right. So now that we got the last thing in as far as the sauces, now we're going to hit it with the finishing touches that we put right on top. It will all cook down, trust me. Get a little bit of the garlic powder, right? And we don't want it directly on the steak. We want it on the vegetables. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of that on there, just not a whole lot, just a little, right? Then we're gonna hit it with a little bit of the sweet basil, not a lot, just like nice little even coating, right? Then last but not least, Worcestershire sauce. We're gonna start hitting it with the Worcestershire, just dabbing it all over. This stuff is real good, so you'll see. Get it all over. Trust me, those flavors gonna blend together, dude. You gonna know. All right, we got good Worcestershire sauce and all of that stuff. We're gonna cover it with some aluminum foil and then put it in the oven for about 1.5 to 2 hours at 350. And when we come back, we're gonna get started on the squash and potatoes and apples. So, peace.